Our second interview from ESL One Katowice Day 2 is here. ShahZaM, one of the new faces of Cloud9, is here with me to talk about the team and the disappointing journey basically in the tournament. So, first of all, how did you feel after you realized that you wouldn't go to the playoffs?
I mean, of course, it was pretty disappointing. We all come here to win, especially make it out of group play. It really hurts to lose to a team in the end that you originally beat as well. So just disappointing, but we can't let it stop us because we do have Gfinity next weekend.
Right. So let's talk about the matches first. You had TSM. You managed to win against them. So I think you were the slight underdogs in that matchup. I guess you were the slight underdog in the whole group. But still, you're part of the Cloud9 team. At least the team was in the majors before. So what do you expect from TSM first of all?
So we were pretty familiar with how they played on Nuke, as well as a lot of other maps. We really did our homework while we were here in Poland for our boot camp, about 7-8 days total. They have a really similar Nuke style to us, and I think that showed in what we played. So honestly, when the map came down to Nuke, we were pretty confident going into the match.
So we all know what happened basically. They won 13-2 on their CT side, but you managed to come back. You only let them win a single round basically. So why do you think that was? Do you think your CT side is that strong, or was it like because of the momentum that you gained throughout the match? What do you think?
Well, I mean, of course, Nuke is a highly CT-sided map, but it was the first match of us being here at the actual event, and things were definitely a little sloppy around that first half. And I do think momentum did play a large role in that, and we just kind of got our groove going on CT side, and I think we're almost unstoppable on that map once we get it going.
So what about Virtus.pro then? That was not as close as we would have expected after that Nuke, as you just said. So what do you think went wrong? What do you think went wrong there? What do you think was the fault in your team?
Well, starting out the match, the rounds were always ending up in 2v2s, 3v3s, and Virtus.pro, we were taking the sites. Virtus.pro was managing to really retake the sites. Well placed use of their mollies when retaking and stuff. And the players were ending up with 10, 15 health when we went back and rewatched it. So we kept force buying because we were trying to keep control of the economic situation. But in the end, our T side ended up only getting 3 rounds on our T side, which was unfortunate because maybe a bullet could have changed that half had we won one of those forces.
And then you played against TSM once again. That time it was on Overpass. From your communications, because the stream sometimes shows your communications, and sometimes it wasn't really on point to use the phrase, because sometimes you were just everybody was asking, where should I go, what should I do? Is it such a bad map for you guys? Do you feel like you're just going off of team play or just whatever you know about the map?
Well, the problem is in America, no teams really play Overpass. We have no one to practice against it, so we sit at home and we theory strike it. We had these 7 days of boot camp here in Poland, and so maybe we get 7 scrims a day, 6 scrims a day, and most teams don't even like to play the customs to the veto. So maybe we scrimmed Overpass 5 times, and I felt like we kind of had a pretty good grasp on it. But what happened was during the first half, our Terra side, we realized early when the actual TeamSpeak went down, so people actually missed this, we realized that they were playing 3A early at the start. So we decided to change what we normally do and start hitting the fast Bs, the fast defaults, the faster plays, and catch them off guard. I think we honestly, on Overpass, we had a really great T half, even though we blew a couple 3v2s, a 1v3 that I could take blame for on that. But I think 6 rounds on T-side Overpass is pretty solid. We just weren't able to close it out on CT side.
Yeah, that was one round that I noticed. Basically, it was the first, the pistol round as your CT. And I'm not sure if it was a read. Was it a read that you set up for the stair push? Basically, you had 3 people there and you just stomped them really. So was that a read from Sean or from whoever from the team, or did you just do a standard setup for you?
No, actually, that's our standard pistol setup. We have 3 towards A, and it's retake on B because we can easily flank blue door. They just happen to fall right into it perfectly, and I think we just hit some nice shots. I didn't realize everyone died. 4 shots, 4 kills, I think it was at the start.
So in hindsight, basically, what What do you feel like your preparation was like? Because you were talking about overpass not being played in North America. You have problems with playing against North American teams because there's not so much, not so big of a competition there. You don't have that many teams, and you only had a week before for the tournament, right?
Yeah.
So, what do you feel like your preparation was like?
I think like the week that we did spend here was actually really productive. I don't want to give away too much about what we have changed because we do still have Gfinity coming up. We will still be boot camping up until Thursday before we go to London for that. So we'll just continue on practicing. I understand that people were saying about like the hectic communication stuff. I mean, as a team, we're aware of all these things too, and that's things we are going to focus on.
You had some time with the team now. You're a part of it for a few months at least. So how do you feel like you fit into the team basically now after those few months that you played with them?
Like taking the weight of the op role off of Sean, I think has had a pretty big impact because Sean has been showing a way better like performance in terms of his individual fragging as well as being able to focus on his in-game leading because it's hard to op an in-game lead. And we've been working on having far like defined roles, keeping our roles universally like consistent across all the maps, people working the same spots, holding the same sites, and just got to play more practice.
Now, we've asked this basically every team that we interviewed before ESL One Katowice. How do you feel like about those two maps, those two changes on Overpass and Cobblestone? Do you even play Cobblestone since it's one of the new maps? North American teams don't play it that much. So how do you feel like on those two maps?
Actually, we did have a Face-It match on Cobble originally, and while in America, and we prepared for that. But during this boot camp, I believe we played Cobble more than we actually managed to get to play Overpass. And I really prefer the changes to the new Cobble. I'm actually starting to like Cobble as a competitive map now. It's kind of difficult, like with the maps being like changed so often. Overpass was changed while we were in Denver at ClutchCon. Like drastically, the long A change I think was a really big change, and it does change how the map works. But I think we finally found a home map in Nuke, although it might be taken out before the next major and replaced with another. So yeah.
Well, you were saying about Nuke, but you're the upper of the team. How do you feel on Nuke specifically, really? Because there are not that many spots that you can take because it's a very close map. There's very narrow quarters basically. So how do you feel like as an opera on the map, even though it is one of your best maps right now, as you said?
On T side, I feel like Nuke, it's pretty hard to make an impact with an op, although it's possible depending on how the team gives you access to outside. On CT side, you are able to shut down outside with an op, but most teams will have prepared smokes to shut that down or cut it off. I think Nuke is mostly just on rotations, and the op could play a big role in that, playing like rotating heaven, hell, and just moving around, not letting them know where you are.
So next up, there were a couple of surprises in the tournament. That's obviously Cade and Penta going to playoffs. So what do you make of those two results, basically? Why do you think Penta was able to stomp Titan so much? I'm not sure if you got to watch the game or just to hear about it, basically.
I actually missed the Titan versus Penta game. I think that was like finishing up right when we just came. But Penta recently has had some amount of success and a lot of hype. And I think it's cool to see like a successful German team. It's pretty awesome. KD, Kaboom, I'm personally a big fan of them. Like they're honestly like really awesome guys when we met them, and like honestly I'm really glad that we're having these other teams make it past the group stage.
What do you make of the other North American team that got to go to this major, CLG obviously? What do you make of their result? Do you think they had what it takes to go to the playoffs, or they were just unlucky? What do you think?
I mean, their Nuke match against Hellraisers was almost a mirror image of our match against TSM. But I feel like maybe they could use a boot camp or a little more productive, because even like talking to those guys, it's hard for them, while we were gone too, to find practice against anyone. So they're stuck there theory striking, finding stuff on on their own selves in an empty server, but it's hard to actually test those ideas until you get the opportunity to play against teams.
How do you feel like about the team in general? because in the last 3 months they managed to improve a lot. They beat some of the best teams in the world at the beginning, basically at TouchCon, and yeah, what do you make of their improvement over the last 3 months?
I think it's great. Honestly, like teams like CLG, Elevate, and Liquid are really showing massive amounts of improvement, and that's honestly what we need to keep North American scene competitive. I hope they come back and make it out the groups, do better.
So you already touched on the subject. You were going to Gfinity next. You only have like a week for preparation.
Yeah.
What do you expect from that tournament?
It'll be the first Gfinity event that Cloud9 has attended, but we're looking forward to it. Hopefully we can have a more solid or better showing than what has occurred here, but we're still confident.
So that was the last question of the interview. Do you have any last words? Shout outs to fans, sponsors, anyone?
Yeah, shout outs to our sponsors G2A, Logitech, HTC, NVIDIA, BenQ, and yeah, that's it. Thank you.
All right, that was Cloud9's interview from ESL One Katowice, day 2. We still have a few teams lined up for interviews, including CLG, and obviously we're going to try to snatch some of the bracket teams as well in the future.